Welcome to another episode of Dispelling anti-Mormon lies, myths, and rumors. My name is Jeremy Goff, and today's topic that I'm going to be addressing is actually a cultural misconception, and that comes with judging, and how sometimes as Latter-day Saints we justify ourselves in judging. Before I get jumping into the topic at hand, like always, it's fun to see people posting where they're watching from, as we typically have viewers from all around the world who are watching this weekly Facebook Live event. If you also have a topic you'd like me to address in the future, feel free to ask for that topic in either the comments below or feel free to direct message me as well. So today's topic is judging others. To preface this topic, I want to share a personal story. When I was growing up, my family was rather poor and we had church assistants. Um, Also, after that point, my grandpa had passed away, and when he died, my family inherited our house and some money until we were able to get out of having to have church assistance. But we paid off all of our debts, and very quickly we ended up needing church assistance again. And my mom came to the new bishop at the time and asked for some help. And the new bishop told her that if she wanted help, that she needed to put the kids in public school, quit her doing her online schooling stuff, and get a real job. And it was something that really, for me, was personally hard to hear, that my mom, who was trying to be a stay-at-home mother and a homemaker, and did so much to hold my family together when I was younger, including when my dad was in prison, was being told to get a real job and to put us in school if she wanted help from the church. And that was hard for me. At this point, I was also trying to save money for my mission, and my bishop flatly told me that my parents were in a position to help, and that if I wanted to go on a mission, that I needed to earn the money to go on my mission, and the ward wasn't going to be able to help either. And so I went to work, and I started trying to save money, but I couldn't find a job. It was the suggestion of my parents that what I do is I volunteer at the bishop's storehouse 3 days a week, and the other 2 days a week I do full-time job searching. And I started doing that. And at first I wasn't a fan of doing service, but it was good for me. And then I started to notice something. I started to notice the parents of the kids who were mean to me. They were coming to the bishop's storehouse for help. These kids wore new clothes. These kids were the kids who always went and did the fun activities, and they were getting church assistance. And I got bitter. I got bitter over the fact that the church would help them but not help me. They wouldn't help me with my mission. They wouldn't help me or my family with food or any of the other things unless my mom was to, quote, put us back in school and get a real job. And I got I got very upset, and I started to judge people. And I would watch people come into the bishop's storehouse, and I'd smile and help them be nice, but I was judging them. I was judging them hardcore, especially the people who I knew, who in my mind didn't need it as much as my family needed it. Now this continued for a couple weeks, and one day these two black men come into the bishop's storehouse in Orem, Utah, and one of them is wearing really nice clothes, and the other one is not. And they give the shopping list, and it's a huge list. They're getting like everything, and I go into my mental checkbox of, oh, this guy's he's soaking the system. He's another one of the people, and I start judging him. And at one point, they go take him back into the back to measure him to get him some clothes. And the other man who's wearing nicer clothes comes up to me, and he shakes my hand. He grabs my hand and he looks at me and he says, "Thank you for what you've done. My brother had a family and a house in Haiti, and when the earthquake hit, it collapsed and it killed his wife and his kids, and he had nothing. And I told him if he could make it here to the States and make it to Utah, the people would help him get started again in his life. And he said he didn't believe that they would want to help him. And he's like, I told my brother people would want to help him. Thank you for helping him." And it was an immediate rebuke. I had judged somebody. I didn't know his story. I didn't know where he was coming from, but I thought it was within my purview to make those judgments. And that, for me, was a wake-up call, because I realized at that point that I am not the judge. I realized that I needed to stop judging. I think it's best quantified by by President N. Eldon Tanner when he says, "How can we, with all of our weaknesses, frailties, dare to arrogate to ourselves the position of a judge?" And I think that that's the perfect level set and the opening statement to talk about judging within the Latter-day Saint culture. Within the Latter-day Saint culture, we have this notion that we have the right to judge as long as it's a righteous judgment. and that we have the position to then go ahead and to say what is a righteous judgment or not. We don't. Yes, Elder Oaks has told us that we need to make righteous judgments, but we're never supposed to judge people. The problem is that we do it all the time. We look at people and we judge them. There are four main categories of people. I want to talk about how we judge them and how, quite frankly, how we're judging and shaming them out of the church. The first category is probably the most universally judged and shamed category in the church. That is early return missionaries. Missionaries who were willing to serve the Lord, who gave their all and went on a mission. Sometimes they were in their mission for only a week. One of the guys in my MTC district had a mental breakdown a week into his mission. He was honorably released. Sometimes they're in their mission for a month or two. Sometimes it's for more. Sometimes it's for less. And they come home. And we face this early return missionary. And we, as people, have questions. Why did they come home? Was it worthiness? Was it illness? What are they going back out? We have all these questions that we, as a natural curiosity, have. And quite frankly, it's none of our business. And also, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the early return missionary came home because they have anxiety and they can't deal with it, or if they had premarital sex and they were sent home because of worthiness. It's not our job. It's not our thing to judge. It's not our thing to worry about. All we are supposed to do is love them. We aren't supposed to shame them. We're supposed to love them. If anybody needs help and love and reassurance and fellowship and award, it's an early RM. They're the ones who are most at risk to go less active. And when they go for good, typically. And so we need to stop judging these people. These are worthy sons and daughters of God who try to serve Him, trying to keep the covenants, trying to keep the commandments. And if they did make mistakes and they broke those covenants and commandments, then help them repair them. If they didn't and they're struggling with mental disorders, that mental illness that causes them to have struggles, then they need support. They need people who are going to mourn with them, people who are going to comfort them, people who are going to love them, people who are going to keep their baptismal covenants. Nowhere in any of our covenants do we covenant to judge others based upon our best experience and our best knowledge. Now, the second group of people that we also judge very often are those with mental illness. I don't have mental illness. I am very thankful for that. But my future sister-in-law does. And I was talking to her earlier today, and she said that she was, in a sad way, thankful she had mental illness, because she said, if I don't have anxiety and depression, I think I would have struggled to have any charity or compassion on those who did. Because she said before she had it, it was easy for her to hear people talk about how much effort it took to get out of bed or how much effort it did to do this or that. And she would be like, you're faking it. It's not real. But now that she struggles with anxiety and depression, there are days where just getting out of bed is the most difficult thing in the world. It'd be easier for me, in my mind, to go run a marathon with no preparation than for them to get out of bed and to do something. It's not because they're faking it. They have been tasked with a different burden to challenge and a different burden challenge to bear. And it's not my job to look at their cross and say, well, that's an easier cross to bear than mine. We are supposed to love others. We are supposed to not judge others. In the words of Elder Uchtdorf, the topic of judging others could actually be taught in the two-word sermon. When it comes to hating, gossiping, ignoring, ridiculing, holding grudges, or wanting to cause harm, please apply the following. Stop it. Now, those are the two largest categories of people who get judged and shamed in the church. But there are two other categories that are very large, and they may not always get directly shamed, but the shame and the judgments towards them are causing many of them to leave the church. The first group are those with addictions, particularly a lot of men who struggle with pornography. They are trying to come clean from pornography, trying to live their covenants and to live the law of chastity. And these men are shamed. They're told that they're broken. Many of the people in the church will say things like, oh, I tell my daughter to never date a man who's ever experienced or dealt with or had an addiction to pornography. Well, of course, if a guy's dating a girl and he gets engaged, he's supposed to disclose the past to her. But it's unrealistic to expect someone who's sinless. Yes, we can expect worthiness, but sinlessness is something only Christ has. And so unless you yourself are sinless, to expect someone else to have no sin, it's ridiculous. I think Christ dealt with this when he said, let he who's without sin cast the first stone. So if your daughter is sinless and has never committed a sin, yes, at that point you can tell her to never date a man who has sinned. But as long as we shame people, as long as we judge people based upon their actions and not who they are as a child of God, we are going to perpetuate the issue of pornography within the church. Because if we can remove the shame, the judgment, then when someone who is 10, 12, or around that ballpark experiences pornography for the first time, they're not going to be afraid. They're going to immediately come to their parents and say, hey, I saw something, and I know that it wasn't good. But because we have this fear, then they're afraid. They're, oh, I've seen something. I can't serve a mission. I can't get married in the temple. I've lost everything. And then they hide it. And because they hide it, it festers. And sin is like mold. It loves the dark, and it will thrive off of it. But if light is shed on it, it will be destroyed. The final group of people that we judge is a group of people that, for us as Latter-day Saints, we shouldn't judge. But it's easy to judge them because we can classify it as a righteous judgment in our mind because we think they're sinning. It is people who are LGBTQ. We look at them and we say, you are breaking the law of chastity. They are. And therefore, you're bad. They're not. And we judge them, and we shame them, and we treat them poorly. In matter of fact, these people are not bad people. They're still sons and daughters of God. Are they always doing the right things? No. Should we ever tell them what they're doing is acceptable before God? No. We're supposed to teach His commandments. But what we are supposed to do is we're not supposed to judge. We're supposed to love them. We're supposed to welcome them. We should make them feel wanted. There should be no place that somebody who is RM, early RM, somebody who struggles with mental illness, somebody who struggles with addiction, or somebody who is LGBTQ, there should be no place they feel more welcome and wanted and at home and loved than in a Latter-day Saint home, in a Latter-day Saint chapel, and a Latter-day Saint ward. We are supposed to be the most Christ-like people on earth. We should make people feel wanted and welcome. And the first step to making people feel wanted and welcome is to get rid of this shame culture and get rid of this culture of judgment. You and I are not judges. Jesus Christ is the judge. We have no right to judge. That's what I wanted to share today. It's a cultural critique of our tendency to want to judge others. It doesn't matter if you can see sin or not. It doesn't matter if you are justified or know their backstory or not. It doesn't matter if you know the context or not. You are not their judge. Jesus Christ is their judge. He will judge them. He will deal with defending His church. You are simply commanded to love them, to serve them, befriend them, comfort them, mourn with them. If you are not doing those things, you are breaking your covenants. And then at the last day, how much better than them will you be? So, keep your covenants. Love one another. We're all brothers and sisters anyway. Y'all have a great rest of your Sabbath.